Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to apologize for the voice. This weekend we had WordCamp Madrid and it was raining the entire time, so I guess that helped me get some sort of like small cold, so voice is failing sometimes. So on the last announcement post that I did, I had recorded a demo of the Connect functionality, but for some reason it froze after minute 11, I think. So what I'll do is that I'll pretty much re-record the entire thing from scratch. That way I can be more direct to the point. And since we won't have the Cloudflare, we can actually go straight to how things are working and what the next steps are. A regular install. Here you're seeing the Laravel screen because I was doing some testing before, but it's pretty much a regular so this should not be showing up here. Let me disable that real quickly. So if we go to plugin here, we should have a connector here, Mabel handle request on admin init. If we get rid of that, okay, yeah. So here we have our WordPress network. Let me get rid of this here. Okay, so here we have 3 sites: the main site, a template site, and a regular site. So this is not a customer owned, is a regular multi-site subsite that is not attached to any other any subscriptions whatsoever. We do have here some plugins installed. So we have WP Ultimo, the latest version as of the recording of this. We have a 2.3.0 scheduled to be released later today or tomorrow. And we have this Connect plugin here, which is pretty much just a this plugin over here. Okay, yeah, let's jump right to it. So what we'll do is that I'm developing this. I think I go over this on the post. I'll link the post to this video again. But the idea is that everything we're doing inside Next, we are using a server client paradigm. Why are we doing that? Because we want to be able to develop things only once and have it work with local subsites, with external sites using Connect. The way to do that, is to, if we have this server client paradigm, we can develop things once, and then at the client level, we can detect if we are in the same environment as the network, or if this client is installed on a external site. And depending on what answer we get, we use a different mode of transportation of that action that we want to do. So for external sites, we would be sending a HTTP request over the network. But if we are local, we can bypass the HTTP request and run the code directly. So that makes things a lot easier to implement, because we only need to implement them once. And they automatically support external sites and local sites with Connect, and also with other things that we are building for Next. So Access gates can also make use of that. The assistant can also make use of that. So it's I think was the last major roadblock that we had, and it has additional advantages. Yeah, maybe I should talk about those in a different video about that specifically. But yeah, okay, so the first thing we'll do here is that here I have a Runcloud server. We'll see that we have a couple of apps here, web apps, all WordPress installs. I built a command here to clear those out. So if I run, so you can see here that we have 3 databases, 3 web applications. But if I run WP Auroro, and again, it's called Auroro here because it's the code name that we're using for this framework that I've built that connect Laravel with WordPress, so we can use much more robust, modern PHP code and PHP libraries to build this kind of stuff, to make sure it is more reliable, more scalable. But after we're done, these commands they're all going to be renamed. So this is probably going to be WP Ultimo Connect, something like that. But for now it is Auroro, and I'll do a I think it's server reset. And I need the ID of the server, which I can find here at the URL. So let's run that. And what this command will do is that it will look through all of the web apps that we have over there, all the databases, database users, SSH keys, and delete them all. So just we can have a clean slate for testing. So we no longer have any applications, and we no longer have databases. We don't have database users. We don't even have SSH keys, which is something that we need to install WordPress, as we'll see. Now, if I run the command Auroro server list, you'll see that we don't have any servers. I'll run the domain list, and you'll see that we have one domain, and it is marked as a managed domain, and it has the allow sparking also set to true, and the provider is Cloudflare. So one of the things about Connect is that we need to be able to create temporary domains to make sure that these external sites, they are accessible before they are ready and before we can actually map the final domain to it. So as a result, we will pretty much have to develop a DNS manager for Connect as well. I've done some development on that front already. So I already have Cloudflare implemented and working. So here what I did is that I added a domain that is managed by Cloudflare, which means that WP Ultimo can use the Cloudflare connection, the Cloudflare API, to create new entries for this domain name. And it has the allow sparking true, which tells WP Ultimo that this domain can be used for temporary domains, because you can also have like managed domains that belong to your customer, and if that's the case, you don't want to create temporary domains on a domain that is not yours. So that's why we have this over here. Finally, we will do a WP Auroro site list, and we'll see that we have the same 3 sites that I showed you on the dashboard. but only one of them is marked as movable. So for now, I'm only allowing regular sites, so default, and customer-owned sites to be movable. I can see certain scenarios where we could benefit from making site template movable as well, and the main site as well, but at least for now, I'm focusing on customer-owned sites and regular sites. Yeah, okay. So now we can get started. So let's refresh here. Let me bring these two windows side by side so we can see things happening as they happened. So let's bring this here. I was under the impression that this panel here had auto refresh, but it doesn't. So I'll do a couple of refreshes here as we receive positive feedback on this side, just so we can see that things are actually happening over here. And on the previous video that I recorded showing this functionality, we were in the middle of a Cloudflare incident. So I had to hard code the domain, the subdomain for the site. Cloudflare has since fixed the issues that they were having. So now we should be able to actually see the full creation, including the subdomain, take place. So now the command that we want to run is wp Auroro site move, and we want to say that we want to move the site with ID 3, which is like the third site that we saw on that list. So if we go and press enter, we should start. Okay, so we immediately had issues. Okay, so this is an issue with Cloudflare. I'm only using 2 random words to create the subdomain, and sometimes it clashes because I've been running a ton of tests and I've created a bunch of subdomains. So from time to time here on our testing, we'll get an error like this. You won't get an error like this when you run it. So if we run again, we should eventually will get a new unique subdomain. Okay, yeah, we did it. So this is the subdomain here, Magnum Minima. We created the web app on Runcloud. So if we refresh it here, we see that we have the new app here. We already installed WordPress, already generated the htaccess file, flushed permalinks, created an application password. This application password allows us to connect back. And then we tried to connect to the site that we just created over here using the application password that we created. And we tried to retrieve the list of plugins. And the fact that we were able to retrieve the list of installed plugins here tells us that the entire process actually worked. And as we can see here, it did work. We do have a new WordPress site created here, and we can visit. Here I'm not running the SSL command in live mode, just so I don't exhaust my Let's Encrypt quota, but you would be able to run it on live mode. I don't think we log I know that the admin is, I don't recall. So let's run it again, but let me change the actual password just so we can actually see the process working. So here we have the Runcloud Service Provider class, which is responsible for creating the site. And at some point here, we install WordPress. So installing WordPress, we use this connect at wputimo.com. This doesn't really matter because once we get the import portion of the code to work, we will overwrite this entire thing with the same username that you had on the main site. So it doesn't matter the value that we use here, but here I'm passing a admin password which is random. So what I'll do is that I'll add a additional login line here just so we can see what the password is. So the user is connect and we want to see the password. So I'll add a new line here just to let us know what the password would be. So installing WordPress, let's go with username, with admin username this, and password this, and then we will okay, yeah, I don't even need to use sprintf. I can go with username and password. Okay, and then here we just need to pass the parameters. Username, it's admin user, and password is admin password. Let me check if that's right. Admin user, admin password. Okay, so now instead of the installing WordPress message that we got, we should get a installing WordPress with admin username, this username, and password, and we should be able to log in to make sure that we can actually see and we are actually able to log in. So let's run the move command again. Right now there isn't guards in place to prevent you from moving a site a bunch of different times. We will of course have that, but my main goal here is just to get this over with as soon as possible, just so we can interesting. Okay, so as you can see here, this time I wasn't actually able to connect to the endpoint here. So something happened. But let's see if we can log into the admin panel and take a look. So we have the new site here. Let's go to the admin panel. Interesting. So the problem seems to have happened at the database level. Okay, let's run it once more and see if we can get a completely 100% working new site, just so we can connect and see how it goes. Okay, there's not database. Yeah, I think I might have broken something here. Installing WordPress, this here shouldn't really make a difference. As admin password, admin user. This is interesting. I'm not sure what it looks like. I broke something. Let's see. Created, database user created the user. Installing WordPress. Yeah, so the entire process worked now. And as I mentioned before, here we have the username, the admin username is connect, and the password is this one. I'm going to copy it. If we refresh it here, we should see this here. What's the name? Yeah, nihil ut. Let's go there. Okay, yeah, this one seems to be working. Again, since we're using Laravel to handle all of this magic here, it means that once things fail, we can leverage the Laravel queue system to retry things until they work. So here is the password that I got here. It's missing a final A. Let's do a remember here. We should be able to log in. We're in. As you can see, this is a regular site. We did not import the original site just yet, although that's more or less done. And if we go to the plugins list, we have Akismet and Hello Dolly, which are exactly the output that we get here, which means that the connection actually worked. And if we go to Connect, you'll be able to see that we do have a application password here. And this application password was the one that we just created here, that we got the value over here, is this value over here. And as I mentioned before, all of this, the fact that we have a user called Connect, all of that doesn't really matter, because after we create the WordPress install, the next thing that we'll do is to install our custom plugin, the Connect client, and then the next task after that is to import the site export that we generated from the main network. So the Connect user, all of this will be overwritten by the new, by the actual list of users that is kept in sync with the network. So this Connect user, it's eventually gonna go away. Yeah, I hope that shows the stage that we are in. The next steps here is to actually manage the export and the import, which is not really that difficult, since we already have that code ready from our site exporter importer add-on. The only thing that was missing that I was able to get to work was that the thing about the Laravel queue system. So let me bring that up here. If you want to read more about it, you can go to Laravel and queues. So the Laravel queue system is pretty much a way of dealing with, how do you say it, like heavy processes on the background, in a way that it doesn't affect the other requests that the network is getting. So depending on the size of the site that you're exporting or importing, it can take a while for PHP to get that done. And we don't want our customers seeing a white screen while that process takes place. And on top of that, every PHP process that runs on a server request like that is subject to timeouts configured by the server or the PHP configuration files. And some hosts do not allow plugins at the PHP level to override the timeout values. So if you have a timeout of 60 seconds and the duplication process takes 90 seconds, what will happen is that at the 60 seconds mark, the PHP process will be killed, and you will end up with a broken duplication process that it's pretty much unusable. So what we do in cases like that is that right now on WP Ultimo Core, we use Action Scheduler, which is a queue system that was created for WooCommerce subscriptions, but was made open source. So we use that. But since we done all of this work to bring some of the powerful features from Laravel to WP Ultimo, we are moving that to a queue system. The thing about the queue system, the Laravel queue system, is that it relies on you setting up a supervisor job on your server to keep you running. And while that is the preferred method of getting a queue system that is reliable, that is able to auto restart itself if it crashes, and we will cover how to set up that portion. And in some cases, like Runcloud, for example, we do have a supervisor API that we can create the queue system for you via the API. And there's a lot of other hostings that allow for something similar. Even if that's the case, for development purposes and testing purposes, we need a way to keep the queue running without having to go through the trouble of setting a supervisor job, which might be a bit too advanced to get going at first. So I was able to come up with a pretty clever way, actually, to keep the queue system running in the background, which is pretty much what I have running here. So you see that if I go to, yeah, this is not a domain that I want to link here. let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'll show that to you. Yeah, in any case, I was able to get the queue system running based on requests alone. Maybe I'll come up with a way to cover that in a way that doesn't leak our debug server URL, because that needs to be like publicly exposed in order to be useful for us. But yeah, we already have some of the work for supporting DigitalOcean. I'm taking a look. I think that Johan said that he was using GridPane. I think the GridPane has an API that we can use to implement a server provider as well, much in the way that we did here for Runcloud. And I think that Vultr was actually one of the other most requested ones. So those are the next ones that we will be tackling. Then after that, this is something that I plan to work on this week still, which is the commands to actually link a new provider. So both a server provider and Cloudflare. That way you can actually link your Runcloud account and your Cloudflare account, so you can actually use this for yourself. And my main goal for this week is to have this out, most likely as a WP CLI program. So you'll have to run the commands that we just ran to get it to work and see how it works. But in the future, not in the distant future, we'll have some actually UI for that as well. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video. I'm sorry for the last one. I'm using Loon for this one as well, because Loon is the lightest recording software that I was able to find. Let's hope it doesn't break this recording. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you soon.